I want to tell you a little bit about using gamification in medical education. There's a whole team of people that have been working on this. We call it sort of the Kaizen IM team. Sort of the idea here is that certainly we're going to go for the map, work hours, review, focus groups, new ways to teach gamification, and sort of talk about the software that we built. There's going to be a metagame here. If you recognize a video game character, you can kind of yell it out. Don't worry about it. Anybody see that? Cuber, that's right. That's my people right there. Playing games already. All right. So there was work hours put into medicine in 2003. Seemed like a good idea. Physicians who don't sleep are as impaired as people who are drunk. And certainly that doesn't do well for our health in general. So it was a good idea to put in work hours. And you hear a lot of belly aching from the older docs. Oh, this sucks. This is terrible. But in reality, I think there's some good in it. But there's been some not good things that have come of it. And we think education is one of the things that has suffered. Who's that one? That game? Nobody knows? Mary Rose. All right. So we wanted to talk to the residents. Look, since the work hours came into place, has there anything that has suffered? And this is what they told us. They said, yeah, teaching kind of gets lost in the shuffle. They said, look, because the first and second years have to go out, the third years and the attendings have to sit there and do the work, which means they don't teach us. So this was a problem. So I looked at my residents on rounds, and they were on Facebook. And I couldn't blame them, because in 2001, I was on a Palm Pilot playing things like Space Invaders and Pac-Man on rounds when another guy was presenting and I was bored with their presentation. But then I thought, I can get back at them and I can make this work for me. If I can make a game where they are challenged with learning things, then we'll see what we can do. And this field of gamification, where people are taking game elements and putting them into other aspects of education, like Nike Plus, things like this, things that motivate us, things that keep us engaged. You know, I'll run more if I wake up tomorrow morning and I see that my buddy ran 5 miles and he's mocking me. Forget about it. That's not going to stand. I'm a physician. I'm stupidly competitive by definition. This is folded, right? This is great. This is a bunch of guys who figured out, well, you know what? Let's have these proteins folded by gamers online, and here's the high score. And look at all the scientific papers published in leading publications like Science for a bunch of people playing video games. We're really interesting subjects. So we thought, can we take some of these gamification principles and put them into medical education? That's a lot of people I should be hanging out with on this side. So what's a game, right? In a game, there's a clearly defined goal, and the players work to achieve that goal. There are rules, which are the limitations on how you can achieve that goal. There's a feedback system, and there's voluntary participation. There's not a lot voluntary in your life as a medical resident. Hopefully we could put some in it. So we thought of this game. We took this word from sort of the business speak in terms of Kaizen, which is this philosophy of continuous quality improvement coming from the Japanese sort of assembly lines for cars. We thought 3 pillars, content, community engagement, and game, were how we would get this integrated into our education. We thought a good, concise questions were important. Clear teaching, focus, use humor, use mnemonics. I remember things 20 years ago. Like a friend of mine used to say, endodermal sinus tumor, Schiller, Duval. I don't even know what that is, but I remember that. An endodermal sinus. I'm an infectious disease guy prescribing. I don't know what that is, but I remember. So if somebody's got a trick like that, community engagement, we have to get this into the internal medicine program. We have to make it theirs. So we took these elements: reputation, ranks, levels, competition under rules that are explicit and enforced, and teams, feedback. Some of these things from gamification to build this application to get the residents to compete against each other. So certainly, these are reward systems in gamification. You have to have intrinsic rewards, where you have self-efficacy, which is increased knowledge, acquisition of skill, all of that. And extrinsic rewards, which is, haha, look what I got, that you don't have. So these are badges. We have a leaderboard. We have them see that Billy is doing better than they are. You can score 3 ways. You can score by getting answers right, sure enough. You can score by hot streaks. The more questions in a row you get right, every 20 questions or so you've got right in a row, we'll throw another extra 5 points your way. And marathons, if you show up to work every day, whether you get the question right or wrong, we're just proud of you for bringing in your lunch pail and getting some done. Here's what our leaderboard looks like. You can see score, hot streak, marathon. You can see the different levels. You can see the coffee. That's the ultimate medical profession. So, alias rank. This is a badge. Here you go. Somebody is a tuning fork. Actually, today we had our first 2 residents tuned into turning forks. We're in the 5th week of our first 8-week season. And you can see that they have it. And, you know, of course, they're bragging about it already. And as I look at gamification and I see these residents engage in competing with each other, and we have teams, because we group them into teams. And they say, my team is doing better than your team. In the town hall meeting last Friday, you can start to think about how does this work in all these things we do, in behavioral research and disease prevention. How much of my job is to tell people things like, I really think you should quit smoking and go to spin class. I think that's a great idea, but I can't get people to do that. But if I gamify it and I see that someone else is doing it, I bet you we could have a big impact.